Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening, depending on where on the world you are. Welcome to our group demo webinar about our open source FinOps and MLOps tool to optimize workloads and save costs. Let's see how many attendance participants we have, if we should wait a couple of minutes more or get started. Let me check, please. "24 people, 7, let's wait a little bit. We have more than 200 attendees, registrations, so let's give them a little bit of time. Let's wait 1 or 2 minutes more, please. In the meantime, as I already wrote in the chat, welcome and don't hold back any questions. The point is, you should think of other people as well. Some might have the same question as you have, but they are too shy to ask whatsoever. So do them a favor and step forward so that they also get their unasked question answered. I want to have it a little bit, well, interactive, but there's a Q&A part at the end, as you can see in the agenda. But if you have questions in between, feel free to use the chat. You don't have to wait until the Q&A phase. So let's start slowly. If some late people miss the introduction, might be not so bad, but for the people to respect their time who have been on time, let's get started. So as you can see, I don't work for GitHub, I still work for Hystax, but I like this picture because I want to brand it in your brain that this is a fully open source solution. There are many MLOps open source solutions. There are a few FinOps open source solutions, but Hystax OptScale is the only combined FinOps and MLOps solution. And it's fully free on open source, running under Apache 2.0. So feel free to use it. All the features you will see today, the MLOps part, the Kubernetes cost, the FinOps, the cost saving recommendations, everything you can use from open source if you know how to use open source for free. Okay, the agenda will be, we have 45 minutes. First, just to make sure, because I saw from the list of participants that we have engineers, commercial people, a nice mix. So let's make sure that we have a quick overview about FinOps, cloud cost management, MLOps, what this all is about. Take just 5 minutes. We go through some slides. Then we take a look at the GitHub repo, because we really want to, as I said, brand it into a brain that this is open source, but you can still use it as a SaaS. Feel free to come to our webpage, use the SaaS. You can have a private deployment, open source. You have all the choices you want. And then we come to the product itself. I make a 20 minutes demo of the product, all the features, the saving recommendations, the cost explorer, anomaly detection, all the stuff. And after this, 15 minutes Q&A to make sure, not like so many times, just 5 minutes for 2 questions, that there is enough time to ask questions. Okay, so let's get started. So, as I mentioned, FinOps and MLOps open source platform, yeah, where you can run your ML and AI workloads under always the cost predictions. It's all about cost savings and the and performance, of course, infrastructure and machine learning tasks. we have this tool, as I said, combined. Today, we have to focus on the FinOps on the cloud cost management part. There will be another webinar with the focus on the MLOps part. So today, the MLOps guys, they will get a teaser, yeah, but the focus is on the MLOps part, FinOps part, sorry. So who are we? Most of us know, you know us each already. We are a company based in the San Francisco Bay Area, founded in 2016, doing all kind of stuff in the cloud, but the focus now is on OptScale and the cloud cost management, FinOps and MLOps. We have customers all over the place, from Colombia via Abu Dhabi to the Philippines. Some names, as you can see, which you surely know. I like personally Nutanix and Orange a lot, by the way. So OptScale, what is it about? We started as a classic cloud cost management solution. So where you see your spend in AWS, in Azure, in GCP, because, you know, cloud costs are high, so you want to get it down. So there are some nice recommendations how to save money, classic cloud cost management. Then we enhance it to a FinOps tool where we show you how to become FinOps compliant if you are not happy with the cloud cost management part alone and you want to go one step further and also have the process behind, yeah, the FinOps process, which is more than just simple cloud cost management. And now, actually, OptScale became a platform where you have this core in the middle, as you can see, the FinOps part, the cloud cost management part, MLOps, including an ML leaderboard, and plug into ML Flow, which is where we commonly use the MLOps tool, as you probably know, ML profiling, or actually any kind of application profiling. This is the core. And then the data source, as you can see, we started coming from the cloud cost management with the clouds, AWS, Azure, GCP, yeah, Alibaba as well for the guys in Asia, and any kind of Kubernetes, not just EKS, AKS, the cloud native Kubernetes solutions, but any kind of flavor of Kubernetes you can manage and visualize and get cost information in OptScale. But now if we go beyond the clouds, now actually you will be able to add also cloud platforms like Snowflake, Databricks, any PaaS services, actually any data source, any data warehouse, data lake, or even a private Excel sheet, you can upload and visualize and manage within OptScale. Let's start with the FinOps and cloud cost optimization. So we all know what this is about. FinOps is the evolution of cloud cost management. You don't want to waste more money on AWS and make Jeff Bezos richer than he already is. You want to monitor your IT infrastructure cost, find a way to optimize it, don't waste money, break down the resources to owners, units, regions, whatsoever. Have some constraints to make sure that there are no bill shocks anymore, set time to live, TTL, or budget constraints, have it all nicely organized in a dashboard and be able to manage your costs, yes? And last but not least, establish, if this is the way you want to go, a long-term FinOps process, and also bring on board the engineering teams and engineers, because still, after all, they are the people who create the majority of the cloud spend. We supported the big hyperscalers, as I mentioned, but now we go beyond, and actually you can connect any custom data source, as I already showed you. So why would you even use a third-party tool if there is Azure Advisor, AWS Cost Explorer? Because these cloud-native solutions, sometimes they don't have so many filtering options, very poor tagging, or last but not least, the number one point is, if you have a multi-cloud environment, you cannot manage GCP with Azure Advisor. So in order to not have to learn all the different cloud cost management tools of the clouds, better get a single pane of glass, a third-party vendor tool to manage all your clouds. So the multi-cloud approach obviously is the biggest advantage of a third-party vendor tool. You will get these slides, so no need to make screenshots. You will get all the slides, also the recording of the webinar afterwards, of course. So what is the difference between cloud cost management and FinOps? You should know this. it's quite simple. Cloud cost management is a single guy who is all on his own, has to reduce the cloud bill, but he himself can only execute maybe 10% of all the recommendations. For all the others, he has to chase the engineering teams, R&D teams, and depend on them, which is not a nice job. So of course, it makes much more sense to have a team where people have responsibilities and there's a process behind and so forth. Yeah, this is the theory. But the truth is, if you have only one person with the right tool, like OptScale, then you can probably indeed execute more than just 10% of the same recommendations. It comes close to the 90% as well. We know something about FinOps. Why? Because we run one of the largest FinOps community with more than 9,000, almost 10,000 members. I think 250 missing. Then we reach the 10K. Every month, actually, we get 1,000 new members to our FinOps community, which is called FinOps in Practice.org. Feel free to join as well. The MLOps part. So this is about enabling the ML AI engineer to simply run more experiments in a given time and with the lowest cost. So when now he can do one experiment in 1 hour and then he has to go and drink some coffee or do something else, with OptScale he can maybe do 50 experiments in the same time because they're running parallel, optimized, and also always taking a look at the expenses, because we come from a cloud cost, from a FinOps part, so we know how to optimize cloud spend. And now, as more and more people are using the clouds also for machine learning tasks, then, oops, the costs are even higher than the normal cloud cost, which is already critical. You know, this is why cloud cost management exists, because of all these bills you don't understand, and they're getting higher and higher, although the intention was to save on the cloud. And if you use not CPU, but GPU, all this NVIDIA supercomputer power, this costs a lot of money. There are even services on the clouds for ML which are charged in seconds. And so if you're using the clouds for ML, let us please also take a look at the underlying costs of the resources you're using for the ML part. So this is where you came from. So this is the overlap. Also, ML engineers have a huge cloud spend and want to, of course, take a look at the cost. But not only. This is why it's not just ML cost management. It's a real MLOps tool where we identify bottlenecks, where we give you a way to list all your models, train them with configurable hyperparameters and goals, take a look how you're reaching the different goals, accuracy, and whatever the goal is, and plus the recommendation part. So here you see an outlook, how it looks like. And we go deeper. Here you can see the supported platforms, which we started with. So the clouds as always, so to say, plus Databricks, PyTorch, Kubeflow, Spark, TensorFlow, the most common used ones. MLflow, number one, as said, there will be a plugin where you can then manage all your visualize all your MLflow in OptScale. So you have MLflow plus OptScale in a single dashboard, and also any other kind of sources, as I mentioned. This all you can take a look at. We will also see it in the portal again. But as said, if you're interested in the MLOps part, in only 1 month, 4 weeks, exactly the same day, the same hour, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, West Coast, sorry, you will get a webinar purely with the focus on the MLOps part. Okay, so this was the briefing. Now let's take a look at, as the agenda says, let's take a look at our GitHub repo. So as I mentioned, it's open source. Here again, nice clear definition: FinOps and cloud cost optimization platform combined with ML AI developer tools to profile and instrument ML experiments and optimize their performance and cloud expenses. It's running on Apache 2.0. If you go to the repo and you scroll down, you see the same slides and even some more very detailed diagram, for example, with all the other services we are using. And then here you get the README getting started part, where you have very clear instructions what hardware you need, or what server you need, hardware, software, who cares, IBM, virtual machine, and then how to get started. Yeah, so just follow these instructions. If into some issues, open an issue in open source directly and the community, or we will help you. Yes? Okie dokie. So now let's take a look at this great tool. If you log in, this is what you see. This is not what you see. This is what you see. This is the home, the overview. So it starts obviously with an overview where you can see immediately what was the expenses of your last month, of the organization's last month, and where are you right now, and where will you end at the end of the month, so the forecast. You see the overall potential saving, which in this case is 153,000 euros for this company called Snowflower. So this tool is surely multi-tenant and multi-cloud. Let's start with multi-tenant. Why is it multi-tenant? So for our MSP partners, here under the organization overview, they can add all their customers and then manage them one by one. We have added now, for the purpose of this demo, just a dummy company called Sunflower. But here, obviously, you can see all your customers and then manage them. When you join, you can use the demo version, feel free, but you can also register and connect a real cloud account. It's for free. You can test 2 weeks with real data from your company, get real saving recommendations, execute it, save the money. We don't want any percentage. You can save it and keep the savings 2 weeks or more. If you give us a nice explanation why you need more time, you can test it for free. So connect the real cloud account or use the demo. For this demo, we have connected now a little bit of everything. As you can see, AWS, Alibaba, Azure, Kubernetes cluster, Google. So this is how you would connect the cloud account. You just go to data sources, click on add, and then you follow the instructions. So whether you have AWS, you can choose between linked or root account. Even on Azure, you can choose between subscription or on the tenant level, and then just click on it and follow the instructions. It takes you maybe 20 minutes until the cloud account is connected. And another 20 minutes later, you will see the first data, the first resources popping up and getting the first recommendations. Can take only 20 minutes, can take hours, depending, of course, on the size of the subscription. If you have done this, if you have connected the cloud account, we will get the access to 3 APIs: billing API, discovery API, and the CURE, the custom and usage report. And we have only read access. But by having access to the discovery API, we discover all the resources, see by the billing API and the cost and usage report, how much you pay for it, in which region, how you use it, and all this information, which then enables us to give some smart recommendations. And read-only access, right? That's the point. And then we can see everything actually which you get from the cloud. So not just CPU instances, IP addresses, firewalls, VPNs, or even something very exotic. If you, for example, use the cloud for Azure for some facial recognition services or blockchain or IoT, if they charge you, it will appear here. So here you see there's a list of all the resources, the 300K, a maximum resource count, and a potential saving, which is almost 50%. And this is actually in line with what Gartner, the big technology analysts, say, that 43% of the cloud spend is wastage. 43%. Let it be 37 or 79, still a nice number, I would say. So you must be aware everyone who's using clouds is wasting money. We developed this solution. We are a smaller company of software developers, but even we use clouds a little bit in our R&D and use, of course, our own cloud solution as well, OptScale. And even we still find every month some coins where we could have saved something. So feel free to use this. So here you see the date range. You can check the last month, the last day, the last week, whatsoever for each of your customers. And then you get here a long list with all the resources. As you can see, bucket, instances, volumes, instances, business analytics. And you can filter it. You can filter it by owners, by region, by service, by resource type, let's take a look. What does resource type means? It means, for example, business analytics buckets. So what kind of thing you have? What service? Amazon, Cost Explorer, AWS, Kinesis, EC2, EKS, with constraints, with possible savings, Kubernetes nodes, tags, without tag, paid network traffic. So very many filter possibilities. Also this diagram, you can filter different things. If you only want to see data source AWS or Azure, for example, then you get only the information about this specific cloud. And here this list is sorted by the biggest impact. As you can see here, 30K, 10K, 10K. So the most expensive resources come first. You can change this, of course. And then if you click on it, then you will see more details. Yeah. So if I click on this, for example, whatever it was, I didn't actually take a look. It's a bucket. Yeah, it's a bucket. So you can see where this bucket is, which cloud, AWS, which region, US West, who's the owner. And then you see here the expense of this bucket in total for the month, the forecast, and the paid network traffic related to this bucket. You can set constraints. So here you can set time to live, daily expenses. For example, 530, maybe it should be a little bit less. So let's make it 100 time to live. It's very important because probably you know this saying. It's about AWS, but I guess it applies for Azure and GCP as well, any cloud. So on AWS, you don't pay for what you use, you pay for what you forget to delete. So funny, yeah, because just stopping a service from running doesn't mean that you don't have to pay for it anymore. So please set time to live, and then there's no more issue with paying for something which you didn't delete. So expenses. Here you can see the expenses of this specific bucket. As you can see on a daily, very granular level, all the total expenses related to this specific bucket. Yeah, for every single day. Yeah, and here you see them as well, the category. This is a bucket. Now let's take a look at an instance, for example, because an instance gives us even more information. Where do you have an instance here? So let's take a look at this one. Here, we can again see the total expenses, network traffic, forecast, and also set the constraints, see the recommendations, if there are recommendations for the specific resource, the expenses again, plus monitoring data. So here we have monitoring data, CPU, disk, network, on a daily basis. Obviously, memory will also follow soon. And we keep this data, by the way, not just for 30 days, like all the clouds do. We keep it for 180 days by default, 6 months. And if you want, for 6 years or no matter how long. So there's no limitation like on the clouds. Okay, now let's take a look at the recommendation, because by far still the thing which most people are interested in. We always say FinOps is not just about saving money, it's also about making money. Sounds very nice, but many people still have issues to get it. It's too abstract. Most companies I hear, the CFO said we need to save money. They don't care if it's by using FinOps or just firing some people. At the end of the day, the cloud costs must go down. And of course, this comes mainly from the cost savings. The FinOps part makes sense to have a process so that there is it doesn't change in 6 months. Look, this number here, 153, it's based, you can save this if you follow the recommendations. But if you do it only one time and there's no process behind, then there's some likelihood that in 6 months' time, the number is equally high. So this is the idea why it makes sense to have a little bit the process behind this. So here you see the recommendations overall, you can save 153K. We checked it 6 hours ago. Actually, it should be 3 hours ago, because we check every 3 hours, at least several times a day. The next one is about to start. We scan all the resources and look for recommendations, optimization, and saving recommendations. There's a question. I have tried deploy GitHub code, the one of the server, but all pods are in. Let me read it clearly. So Sunil is asking, I have tried deploy GitHub code in the one of server, but all pods all in initialized status in long term. Is there any demo for deploy the code? I have to follow deployment steps, which is given a website. So I know about many companies who deployed it from the GitHub, so it works. I don't know where exactly now you made mistake, but we have some AI bots, as we sell MLOps, AI, machine learning, who can probably answer this question in the meantime. So bots, please do your work. Sunil, you will get an answer sooner or later. I hope sooner. So let's continue with the feature of cost savings. So several times a day we check, and if there's something we can optimize and provide you recommendations. Here, very nice S3 duplicates, for example. Yeah, if your buckets, if you have duplicates. In this case, you need to click Run Check to find the duplicates, which I don't do now in order to not to save time. But this is a really cool tool, the duplicate finder on the S3 buckets. Also very cool, the reserved instances and saving plan coverage. So here you can see how little actually this company is using here the reserved instances and saving plans coverage by usage percentage, and here by expenses in amounts. Yeah, and you see the yellow part is uncovered usage, shows you the opportunity to save if you purchase more reserved instance or saving plans. So you can see here they only use 20%, for only 20% of the resources in AWS marketing. They use reserved saving plans, and only for 2% they use reserved instances. So there's a lot of potential actually left to save more with reserving plans and saving plans, reserving instances and saving plans. Here you have different kinds of saving recommendations. The ones with the biggest impact, of course, it starts with the biggest impact, 8K, 50K, 18K, and then you have here some dollars, which I don't know if you want to take a look at. At $3.11, I don't even want to look at it because my time costs more. So you can have different ways to look at it, in cards or in table. If you prefer tables, no problem. The colors are also for fun. Red is urgent, take a look. Green, like the traffic light, is okay. Yeah. We have not just saving recommendations, by the way. We also have security recommendations, like insecure security groups, inactive users, as you can see. But the focus is on the saving recommendations. And this is very important to get. The biggest impact comes from only two instances, two recommendations. And this is not only the case in OptScale. This is the case in Cloud Health, Cloud Checker, Cloudability, Morpheus, Densify, you name them. And no matter if you're a logistics company, beverage, insurance, fintech, whatsoever, underutilized instances and abandoned instances have almost for 50% or even 2/3 of the saving recommendations. And this is why it's good to know that Hystax has one of the best right-sizing engines in the market, because we don't just take the AWS Cost Explorer information, repackage it for you and say, here you are. No, we have created our own mathematics, how to calculate this. We work with quantiles, with projections. We take a look at the last 30 days to make sure that we also get peaks, because there might be low coverage, 20% traffic, but on every Wednesday it goes up to 80 for whatever reason. We want to see these peaks. Then we make a projection of the next 30 days. And then we can give recommendations, like here in this case, there is a size CPU. 2 would be enough. Obviously makes at least 50% of the saving. But here also, it depends a lot on the definition. You can change this. So, for example, abandoned instances, also a very big saving potential. When does a machine apply for when is it abandoned? Well, we thought this morning, actually, when we got up, we thought a machine with less than 5% of CPU consumption, and then the average of the last 7 days, in combination with very low network traffic, looks pretty abundant. You might see different and say, no, 10% is nothing, let's do 20%. Okay, feel free, change it. So you can configure this, of course, yourself. Because there might be a reason. Maybe next Friday, there's Black Friday, so your traffic goes up by 500% or 5,000. And so, of course, you don't wait until Thursday evening. Already now, you started creating the machines to be prepared for this traffic. And so these machines have low consumption, but not because they are abandoned, because they're on standby. If you know this, then just exclude these machines up front. Or if you get here these actions and you know there's a reason, then just dismiss the information and you don't see it again. You don't get bothered again. So under the settings, you can exclude it. And also here for the right sizing, we have even different settings for you. So for those people don't want to look on a machine level, a little bit lazy guys, they say, I want to be on a safe side. Yeah, okay, choose the safe modus. If you want to get maximum right sizing and saving potential, choose the aggressive modus. You can customize the here the quantile, the percentage, and the days we should take a look at. That's a nice thing, that it's really that we have already pre-installed settings, aggressive, safe, moderate, and then you also can customize it to your own understanding. But not only instances, as I mentioned, we take a look at the obsolete IPs, obsolete images, obsolete snapshots, abandoned kinesis streams. We check if there are possibilities for reserved instances, for subscription opportunities, for spot instances, for family upgrade, and so forth. Yeah. And if there's a recommendation, like for example, there are some obsolete snapshots and you want to delete them, unfortunately or not, for good or for worse, you do have to do it in the cloud, because we don't want to mess up with the cloud account. And this is why this is only read access. We give you the information, but if you want to really delete these snapshots, you have to do it in a cloud account. But it's made very easy for you on a silver plate, because we have download scripts. So you just download this, click on this download button, and then on the AWS, it leads you automatically to the cloud account, where you then can run the script against the cloud. And then in no time, you have executed and deleted these 45 snapshots and saved your company almost 3K. Any questions? Let's have a look. Hello, I saw that it's possible to analyze and verify use resources and recommendations by project or text. I saw that it's and verify use resources and recommendations by project. Yeah, of course. This is where we come now. By instance, I can verify recommendations, but it's possible. Yeah, of course. So this is the next step. But I started with the recommendations because it's by far the most important thing people are interested in. You see, there's a list of resources. You get recommendations. But of course, if you work on a resource level, it's pretty lot of work. You know, some companies, they have 300,000 resources. So obviously, you should group it. And therefore, we have the pools. We call it pools. Other people call it perceptions, budgets. At the end of the day, it's logic grouping. So here you have your company all over cloud budget, and then you can slice and dice it and distribute it to the different departments or people or whatever grouping you choose. So you can, if you want, match your company's hierarchy and have the machines which are used by the marketing department grouped in marketing, but you can also have a grouping for daily checks or monitoring or whatever. Yeah? And then you see immediately which department or which pool is doing well from a budget perspective. So here the budget is 39. They have used already 35, and the forecast is unfortunately they don't stay in the budget. They will need a little bit more. So not good. But this is of course the sub pool. So as long as the overall budget is hit, why not? It's who cares, yeah. But obviously, if someone has only zero, let's say, take a look. Well, okay. So these are the pools. This is not just for organizing and logic grouping. Of course, if you click on it, you see all the resources belonging. You can change the budgets. This is also for cost allocation. This is important. So the assignment rules, what do they do with the assignment rules? Actually, these are policies which you can create. ID starts with and so forth. You see here name, ID, text, talking about the text, Rodrigo. You can here create policies, rules, which make it happen that whenever someone from the company who has access to the cloud, someone of these engineers who create the cloud costs, if they get a new resource from the cloud, firewall, instance, whatsoever, that it will be allocated straight away in the right pool when you have set the right assignment rules for the pools. Yeah. And you can also set the constraints on the pool level. So I showed you earlier, you can set constraints on a resource level. You can also set it on the pool level. Plus, and this leads us to this bill shock. The problem with clouds is often that you get an invoice of X dollar amount this month, and next month it can be double or triple, and you don't know why. This is, no one likes this. So for this, you should set constraints, budget constraints, but also anomaly detection, which means you have policies which alert you if, for example, like in this case, the expenses of the resources of a specific group in from a specific cloud, the pool is engineering, you can put these policies for anomaly detection, cost anomaly detection, for owners, for pools, for resources, for the whole organization. So you're on different layers, yeah. But in this case, it's a policy for a specific pool, engineering pool in AWS. And if those guys spend more than 10% than the average of the last 4 days, there comes an alert. And on top of these percentage and average approach, you can also set specific numbers in quotas and budgets. So here, for example, you can set a number of 10 for buckets you want to allow in a specific region. So if then an engineer creates bucket number 11, he can do so because we don't want to come back from doing business. There might be a reason, but at least he should get an alert which tells him, hey, you are now about to violate a constraint, a policy. And if he says, I don't care, okay, feel free. But he gets the alert. Yeah. So if you have all these constraints, cost anomaly detection, buckets, and quotas, how do you want to get bill shocks again? And how would you have the same situation that you waste 148K per month in 6 months again if you follow all these tips and advice which we offer here and the possibilities. So here about the tagging policies, quite simple, just follow instructions. You can see tag correlation, prohibit tags. You can have the double tags for the same resource as well. This is very user friendly. All of this resource life cycle here, similar pool policies you can set here. So coming from the why the situation will not be the same in 6 months again, although there's no FinOps team, but just a single person with the right tool, because you can set all these constraints and anomaly detection to avoid bill shocks. But if you want to move one level further and become more FinOps compliant, you can take a look at the FinOps portal, which shows you how to get started at all. So if you're new here, we can show you how to get started in the first place. There's the FinOps book. There's some other more general advices, how to get started, yes, by purpose, because we come from the bigger view, from the birth view to the rock view, to the smaller view with the how to do. So this would then be the next step. If you have done all these exercises and how to get started, here you have very granular how to do's. For example, how to save in Alibaba OSs by avoiding non-actual artifacts in your bucket, or how to find AWS groups, security groups, which allow unrestricted traffic. And if you click here, you get really, really detailed information. So it's not just, hey, it's nice to do so. No, it will lead you to our FinOps in Practice org community, as I mentioned, this FinOps community. And here you see, again, the situation, why it's necessary, the problem description to take a look at this, recommendations, and very important, real command lines, which you can just copy paste in the cloud and execute it. So this is not just some blah, blah marketing. No, this is real usable engineer level informations, how to execute the stuff straight away. And then also here, the checklist. This is kind of gamification. So you start with zero score. And then obviously, if you want to become FinOps compliant, you should take all resources, makes sense. You should also create anomaly detection rules and create pools and all these things. So you do one step after another. Obviously, you get very detailed explanation. Do this, as I showed you already with the to-dos. And then, surprise, surprise, your score increases. And believe me, if you're at 100%, if you've done all these things, you are much more better organized and structured regarding cloud costs and your infrastructure costs than you have been before, for sure. Cost Explorer, almost forgot about this. So this is obviously also very important, because if you get a bill from the cloud, which is high, well, business group Who knows? It's not by default bad. So, but you should know why you have such a big invoice. And this is why you can here see which are the cost drivers, which pools, which sources, which owners. But here you see that there is a person called Lincoln. And Lincoln himself is already responsible for 23% of the cloud spend of the company. So let's take a look what resources he's using. Maybe we can see that there are many constraints he violated and so forth. So this gives us an idea about the usage by owner. Also the cost map, very interesting, because here you see if you have a multi-cloud environment with a blink of an eye where you have your resources. So you can see every color is not a cloud. Azure is green and Alibaba and AWS is yellow. So you see immediately where in the place you have something. And if you think, wow, that's strange, I didn't know that we have something in Dubai or Qatar. Well, click on it. And of course, then you see the resources, you see the owner and what it is exactly, obviously. And not just where you have what, which is also very nice, is the view of the network traffic. So if I go here, 1 second, to the network traffic button, it shows me all the routes where there is some cross-regional traffic, because some companies don't even know that they have to pay for this. It's like with the egress ingress traffic to the different storage types, it can amount to quite nice numbers. And here you can see exactly which resources create cross-regional traffic. If you click on the button of the link, then you see below the resources, see the resources which are creating this. It leads you to the resources page. So you can go from everywhere in the tool to everywhere. And always when you click on it, it goes deeper and deeper, obviously. So it's a FinOps tool because we also have a user management. This is very important. It's not for a single person. It could be for a single person and would be quite effective, but the more the merrier. So the idea of FinOps is that everyone in the company should have at least a sense of the company's infrastructure and cloud spend. So feel free to invite your CEO, invite the apprentice, if you like. Why not? But of course, the apprentice does not have to be an organization manager who can change policies and stuff. No, he should just be a simple member with observer rights. So you can invite people to different pools and different organizations. So if you have an MSP, you have different customers, you want to allow some people to have access to some organizations, to others not. And then again, within the organization, you can also limit their access and permissions by choosing the right type, engineer, organization manager, member, and so forth. Integrations, this tool is really integrated because it's from engineers for engineers. We are software developers, so we have integration in Slack, we have integration with Jira, Business Intelligence, GitLab, GitHub, Jenkins, all these classic R&D tools, and it's a very deep integration. So if you are here if you click on some resources, you can see if the Jira ticket and the details. And also in Jira, if you are in Jira, then you can choose inside of Jira the OptScale environments where you want to work the ticket. So it's a very deep integration. Running out of time, so let's go to the questions. Rodriguez again. I saw that's possible. Analyze by instances, I can verify. Rodriguez, you can, as I showed you, verify recommendations also by pools. So if you go to the pools, then you will see that you can here click on the resources responsible for the pools, which belong to the pools. Then you see also the recommendations which are linked to this pool. Yeah, as you can see here already, you see here the savings, the percentage savings, and if I click on a pool, then it breaks down for the specific pool. So here now I have this on the pool level. So of course it's different numbers because this is for the pool engineering. And here I see the owner of the pool, I see the potential savings. And if I click on it, it will show me all the resources and all the recommendations which create this potential. Any more questions? I have more time, but if you guys want to have a hard cut, then please shoot your questions. Officially, there's 1 minute left. You will get the recording. You will get the slides. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Feel free to send us emails, arrange a call, a one-on-one demo, whatsoever. Yeah. And before people are leaving, let me again draw the attention to our next webinar coming in exactly 4 weeks. The same day, the same hour, the same place, with the focus on the MLOps part. So this today was just a teaser, but there's more, much more about the MLOps part. No more questions, but if people are still in the call, then oops, where's my, I went out of the demo, but it's nice to show. So if you want to use the demo, just go to our webpage, hystax.com, click on OptScale Demo, put your email address, and here you go. Quite simple. But again, this is just a demo, so there's dummy data. If you want to have real data based on your own consumption resource, connect the account. Go to data source, add, and that's it. So for these people who are still in a call and want to get a teaser on the MLOps part, you can see. So here's a list of all the models, including their status, their goals, different goals, accuracy, data loss, the expenses of the last run, the total expenses of the last 30 days, the status aborted, failed, completed, yeah, a list of the models. Here you have the profiling integration, which you can use to actually add the information into the model, yeah. And then here you click on one model and you see then the detailed information about this specific model, and here below all the runs. Or let's take a look here. You said here you get recommendations. So this is the overlap, you know, of to the FinOps part. Also MLOps part, MLOps engineers, they would like to have recommendations. Here it's not so often the right sizing. Here the right sizing is very often not downsizing, but for underutilized instances, here it's mostly the recommendation to go to a higher, stronger machine to have more performance. Yeah, CPU memory, local storage bottlenecks, cross-regional traffic, spot instances, which we discovered for this model for the resource you used. And then below you see all the different runs. Yeah, and then you can click on the runs. Let's choose one which is completed, and then here you have the information, the duration, the expenses, the goals, and here you see nice charts where you can exclude or include different information. Below you can even go on these milestones and then have the more like the very specific view of this milestone. Run sets. Zack. So you can see here how sophisticated this all is. Yeah, and because this is so technical and so sophisticated, we want to please you with a separate presentation only on the MLOps part. And this you can see again 4 weeks time, same place, same time. I hope to see you again. Thank you very much for your time and interest, and I hope to get a lot of emails after we have sent out the recording. Time is over. Have a nice rest of the day, nice afternoon, nice evening, wherever you're located. Bye-bye.